Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Nerd Ventures Comic Book Preview. Ooh, I'm on my game this morning. I know I missed last month's previews catalog. By the time I picked it up, it was, I think, like closer to getting this month's previews catalog. So I figured I would get on this before I forgot about it. So this is the December catalog 2016 for items shipping in February of 2017. I just came out at the end last week of November, and now it is the first week of December, so let us talk about it. As usual, we get the previous book itself, as well as the Marvel separate, which we will be getting to, as well as the customer order form, which we will not be getting to. I don't think I've ever actually covered this, but if you're curious, whenever you buy a previews, you get this customer order form, and then you can fill it out and give it to your local comic shop if that is the way you so choose to shop. So without further ado, why don't we actually jump into the book itself? This first cover shows a Justice League of America new series by Steve Orlando, Ivan Reyes, I hope that's how you say his name, and Joe Prado. Steve Orlando has been making big moves in the world of comic book writing recently. And then on the back, we have our second cover, which is 25 years of Image Comics being celebrated by 25-cent issues. So, very, very cool. And yeah, let's dive right into this bad boy and see what's going on in the world of comics. Per usual, Dark Horse is up first, and let's see what we have from these bad boys. As usual, I'm just going to be stopping on the things that I find to be particularly interesting. Here is one that I'm actually not that interested in, but I think some people might be. This is the Hellboy Into the Silent Sea hardcover graphic novel coming out April 19th. It is going to be a standard size graphic novel, and in graphic novel in the like sort of old school sense, like just 56 pages, like really, just a extra thick issue basically. Mignola has done that before with like Gotham by Gaslight and stuff. I think he came into the comics industry in like the 80s and stuff in a time when graphic novels were like that. Like the Marvel graphic novel line was like a very just like a small thin book and stuff like that. So either way, this is going to be a continuation of the Hellboy story. The reason I'm not particularly interested in it is because it doesn't have Mignola on art duties. It has Gary Gianni, which you can see from the art here. Looks nice in that particular style, but is not the style that I associate with Hellboy or that I'm really interested in reading along with Hellboy. But here you are, if you are a Hellboy fanatic and you are interested in getting more of that character because Mignola just wrapped up the Hellboy in Hell stuff, then this exists for you. Hellboy Into the Silent Sea. Looks Lovecraftian, which is pretty cool. I just wanted to stop on this to show some people who have been asking me recently. I did a video talking about my favorite artists of all time. Well, actually, it was a Get a Cat, Get a Horse podcast. But one of the guys that I mentioned in that was Wally Wood, and I had a couple of good responses around the video from people saying that they really liked the stuff that they had seen from Wally Wood, and where could they continue to read his stuff or get exposed to it or whatever. So I wanted to just show you real quick, because I had mentioned in comments with some people that Dark Horse is doing these EC Archives reprints at the same time that EC is doing them. I think like Dark Horse is facilitating them, or I'm not exactly sure what the relationship is, to be quite frank with you. But if you are interested in getting into the Wally Wood stuff, if you're interested in getting into EC Comics stuff, which has a lot of great work, not just from Wally Wood, but from a variety of artists that were at the top of their game in like the 50s and stuff, I would recommend possibly searching out some of these EC Archives books, because there are other ways to collect it. There are slipcases, which are black and white, but they are out of print, usually pretty tough to find. These are being released currently, and if you look specifically, I know if you go to like the EC Archives or if you go to the Wikipedia page of different EC books, it'll give you breakdowns of every story that's in every issue of every EC comic, which is super convenient. So if you're into Wally Wood, or if you liked any of the things that you saw that I was talking about, then I would encourage you to go to like a wiki site of the EC books and just check, which ones Wally Wood worked on, and then kind of cross-reference it with what's being released by Dark Horse and such, because it's out there. It doesn't look like he's in this particular one, but there are some amazing artists in here. Graham Ingalls, Jack Davis, Reed Crandall. I mean, those guys alone, really awesome. So, yeah, just wanted to stop and mention that. I know I've talked about it in the past, but maybe there are people on the channel now who are more interested in that stuff because of discovering like Wally Wood or that kind of thing. So it does exist. Check out EC Archives, because that's probably the best way to get into some of Wood's work. Here's one I wanted to stop on, the Conan Omnibus, one of Dark Horse's value-priced omnibus. This one, I had mentioned the first one before, and I did a review of Colossal Conan. This collects the second arc sort of from Colossal Conan, from that 50-issue run. Specifically, it collects Tower of the Elephant, Hall of the Dead, and Rogues in the House, which, like I said, I don't know actually how many issues that is. I think it's 472 pages, so divided by 20, I don't know. My math isn't great today, but I would guess it's somewhere in like the 15-16 page or issue range, something like that. These are very, very cool stories. If you want to know more, you can check out the Colossal Conan review I did. But basically, Dark Horse is taking the Colossal Conan omnibus and portioning it out in standard size softcover omnibuy. This one being the second. The first one just came out like this past week when I'm recording this. So, you should probably give them a look if you're interested in the Conan stuff, especially if you saw the Colossal Conan review but thought, well, that's way too much money for me to spend on something, which, in all fairness, it is way too much money. So $25, cover price, you can get that for sale on in-stock trades or various websites when it first comes out. So good way to own that run if you are interested in the content but don't have the cash to blow. I think I mentioned this one before too, the Blade of the Immortal omnibus. I don't know when this is volume 2. Volume 1 must be out like either now or is coming out or something like that at the end of December. I'm not really sure. I haven't been keeping up with it, honestly. But Blade of the Immortal is a very cool series from the little bits that I've read. Very violent action manga, and I'm interested in seeing how this omnibus turns out, because in the past Dark Horse manga omnibuses have been alright, and they've also been a total fucking shit. So I'm hopefully this is at least somewhere in between and has some type of production quality that's better than the Astro Boy garbage that they're peddling on us. So I don't know. Interesting to see, but just if you're not aware of that series, it might be worth taking a look at. Blade of the Immortal. I know it was released in single issues at some point, like regular comic size single issues in the US, but I don't know how hard they are to track down. And it looks like that is it for Dark Horse. So we will move on. Not a lot from Dark Horse for me this month. Nothing crazy interesting, but yeah, let's move on to DC and see what's going on. First off, let's just say, very exciting day for all of us, because Warren Ellis is coming back to Wildstorm to curate / relaunch some type of Wildstorm line at DC. It seems like DC is interested in expanding their number of side project lines again. It used to be that there were quite a number of them, and then it kind of shrunk back down to just DC and Vertigo, and now it seems like it's expanding again with Young Animal, as well as this return to Wildstorm, as well as Vertigo still being around. So I'm super down with this. I hope that it leads to more interesting sci-fi sort of side stories off the spin-off off the DC universe, because some of the original Wildstorm properties like Planetary and Authority were very cool and very interesting comic properties. So hopefully we get a lot more out of the Wildstorm sort of soft launch, and not just one, Warren Ellis book. But I'm hopeful that it will be a good step for DC into varying out some of their stuff, because, like I've mentioned in past videos, their current like DC specific family lineup of stuff is pretty hyper focused around kind of like Justice League and the few characters that dominate it. So it's nice to see some side stuff popping up here and there from DC. So kudos to them for making this kind of thing happen, and hopefully it turns out to be something that's really long lasting, or at least of high quality in the time that we have it for. So again, I'm not going to be speaking specifically to most of the series that are going on at DC right now, but there are a lot of them. You can check out any other previews coverage if you are so interested in that, because here I mostly am interested in collected editions, obviously. This first one up here is really cool, Batman Ego and Other Tales Deluxe Edition. This is a Darwin Cook and Paul Grist written anthology with art by Darwin Cook and others, which collects a Catwoman story, Selena's Big Store. It collects Batman Ego, as well as a couple different Gotham Knights issues 22, 33, and Darwin Cook's work from the Solo series. So very cool. Darwin Cook obviously passed away earlier this year, and it was a big surprise to a lot of people, and there was kind of an outpouring and clamoring for more interest in his work. Seems like one of those guys who everybody thought he was solid, everybody liked his stuff, but it kind of like took his passing to make everybody come out and be like, he was a master of everything. I know a lot of people liked him before he passed, obviously, but with his death, the whole thing gets amplified, and thankfully DC is giving people what they want. So there should be some really cool stuff in here. I am interested in reading the Selena's Big Score and the other Batman stuff in there, because I do in fact enjoy Darwin Cook's art style quite a bit. And yeah, that is going to be a cool one to check out when it is released in March. JSA, the Golden Age Deluxe Edition. I feel like I've covered this before on these. This title is a resolicit, so I don't know if they changed the price or the page count. I don't remember what the original solicit was, but this is a story by James Robinson with art from Paul Smith. Basically a 4-issue mini, which is collected in this deluxe hardcover. Looks interesting to me. But I don't know that much about it. I trust James Robinson to some extent, so I'm willing to pick it up and check it out, but I can't specifically speak to it. This looks interesting. I don't really know much about this at all. The Vigilante by Marv Wolfman, trade paperback volume 1. It looks like it's a side spin-off of Teen Titans, which I am not really super familiar with the new Teen Titans run, but this will collect Vigilante 1 through 11 as well as New Teen Titans Annual number 2. So that's kind of cool. It's Marv Wolfman written with art from George Perez, Keith Pollard, and others. So if you're into the time period of the 1980s New Teen Titans, Marv Wolfman, Perez, collaborations, seems like DC is doing doing well by making some of that stuff more available. So that's pretty neat. The Golden Age and Silver Age Omnibus line marches onwards with the Superman Omnibus Volume 4 from the Golden Age. I mean, it's cool. I haven't been particularly interested in any of the Batman, Superman, Golden Age omnibus stuff, but kudos to DC for, making 4 volumes of it already. I am impressed with their tenacity in finishing out that line. So hopefully it leads to a relatively more complete back catalog of Golden and Silver Age omnibus, which is always cool for me. This one was kind of surprising. This is the Wonder Woman by George Perez Omnibus Volume 2. We had a first one, but it didn't actually say Volume 1 on it. It just sort of said by George Perez, so I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen with the rest of the story, but it seems like this finishes up what Perez was working on, which is Wonder Woman 25 through 45, as well as annual number 2 from his like late 80s, early 90s Wonder Woman series. Looks really cool. On sale in May. I have not read the first one, but from what I flipped through, it looks really nice, and I am interested in seeing more from that. I'm glad that it is being collected in a more complete format. By this point in the series, I do not think that Perez was doing any of the art duties at all. In fact, it says in here that the art is by a couple of other artists and that he was just the writer. So seems like the breakdown was basically that Volume 1 was the written and drawn by, and Volume 2 is just the written by, which either way is pretty cool. It will collect that Wonder Woman series up to issue 45, which is nice. I don't know where it goes after issue 45, but at least having up through that is a nice little surprise. So, yeah, I think that's all of the hardcover collections from this catalog. Wonder Woman Justice League of America, Volume 1. Don't know much about it. Deathstroke, The Terminator, Volume 3. Honestly, this cover looks kind of cool. It looks like it is also kind of related to the Vigilante stuff, like that kind of like 80s time period with, Marv Wolfman writing on it. So I don't know anything about Deathstroke, the Terminator series, but I might have to check that out, even though I don't usually buy trade paperbacks. That cover just spoke to me for whatever reason. And in terms of Vertigo stuff, the only thing that really seems like a deluxe collection in here is the Jack of Fables Deluxe Edition Volume 1. I have not read any of Fables at all. I have some of the hardcovers, but I haven't read them. And this is a side series spin-off which stars Jack from the Fable series, and it looks like it's going to collect issues 1 through 16, which is kind of chunky for a deluxe edition. And I don't know how many issues there were of it ultimately, but it is like I said, a side story that was written by Bill Willingham, which coexists with his Fables universe. So if you are a Fables fanatic, then this is kind of cool that you're getting an extra little bonus series collected in deluxe edition. So that seems like it's about it for the DC stuff. Let us see what's going on with IDW. This is interesting. I did not know that this even existed really, but it seems as though there are Lock and Key special editions which are packaged under a leather and foil cover and are 19 by 13, which is like absolute edition size. I had no idea that these ever existed. I have the master editions myself, the 3-volume master edition set. These are actually collect, I think, less content, it seems, because each one is just one arc, if that makes sense. Like the master editions are 3 books because they collect 2 arcs each, I think, because there's 6 arcs total. So, but it seems like the Welcome to Lovecraft, I think that's just the first arc, and then Head Games, I think, is the next arc. So basically what they've done is split up and made these $100 books, which are absolute edition, leather-bound size, individual arcs. Kind of cool. If you are like a super Lock and Key, if Gabriel Rodriguez, it says right here, is the artist on it. If you are crazy into him, then this could be a really cool time to own it as an absolute edition. For me personally, it's probably going to be a pass unless I read the master editions and then find them to be like the most amazing things ever, which is possible. I don't know, but that's a lot of money for not a lot of content. Especially if you're buying $99 ones for all 6 of the things. So that's a lot. But yeah, it says that these are all offered again. There's 3 hardcover special editions which are offered again, alongside Gabriel Rodriguez Lock and Key Covers Artist Edition Portfolio. So if you're familiar with IDW, they do a lot of different types of artist editions, one of them being the portfolio type, where it basically is like a old school portfolio from the 70s or 80s or anything like that, where it comes in like a slip cover with the pages. And it looks like for $40 you can get a portfolio collecting 12 plates of Gabriel Rodriguez's covers from Lock and Key. So again, Lock and Key fanatics out there, good month for you. right, very nice to see this series returning to somewhat frequent publication. Hopefully, the Corto Maltese series that IDW has been putting out. This is collected in under their Euro Comics line, which I really want to see this line expanded, because so far everything I've seen from it has been awesome. And basically there have been 4 Corto Maltese books so far, I guess. I only have 3 on my shelf. Maybe I'm missing one. I'm not sure. But yeah, this is going to be the next one in the series of Corto Maltese books. So very exciting. I don't know anything about this Calamity Jane book, but it looks kind of nice. I know she's like kind of a famous Western outlaw, so looks cool. This, oh boy, oh baby, oh baby, Star Wars newspaper strips by Russ Manning, Alfredo Acala, and friends. Very excited to see this. This is the Star Wars stuff. You know, when I did that haul a while ago, if you remember, there was a haul where I got some of the Al Williamson, Archie Goodwin. Why am I blanking on his name? Comics that they had been working on as Star Wars newspaper comics. And this is IDW's first volume of, I believe, 3 they're slated, which is going to be collected, the classic strip collected in its entirety for the first time. Blah. I just can't speak today. So I'm super, super jazzed about this. I'm definitely going to be picking this up. This is the earlier stuff than what I have in my collection. The collection I have picks up with the Al Williamson Goodwin stuff, and that is after Russ Manning had already moved off of the strip. So very excited to get this, and then hopefully to complete the rest of it. Looks like it's going to have colored Sunday pages, which is cool because the other collections I've seen have not had colored Sunday pages. And there was also a Star Wars Classics sort of trade paperback line released from Dark Horse, which kind of jimmied up some of the way that the strip was originally presented in order to make it read like a comic book. So if you're into comic strips specifically, this is going to be a good way to get into that content. Here is the big artist edition for this month from IDW, which is Jack Kirby's Forever People. Another one of the DC Jack Kirby artist editions, which there have been quite a few. I mean, I know there's been I think there's been 2 volumes of Commandy. There's a Forever People. This one right here, obviously, there was a New Gods one. There's a Mr. Miracle one. There's probably more that I'm forgetting. But yeah, Jack Kirby's DC stuff has been pretty widely chronicled in these artist editions. So honestly, at this point, I think it's cool. Like, I would love to see most of Jack Kirby's output put into artist editions. I think a lot of people would love to see that. But at the same time, I think it would be nice to maybe expand the line a little bit beyond some of the same couple artists getting artist editions over and over and over again. So very cool, but expected, I guess, is what I would say. So looks interesting. If you're into the Forever People and Jack Kirby's Fourth World stuff, then this is an obvious pickup for you. This I am excited for. The Dave Stevens The Rocketeer Artisan Edition. There was an artisan edition for Wally Wood's stuff, which is sort of like a soft cover, less expensive way to collect a lot of the same content that was put out in these big oversized artist editions. The reason I'm excited for this one specifically is because I have not read The Rocketeer, and I've been looking at different ways to collect it, and it turns out that there are some like nice ways to collect it, sort of oversized hardcover ways and slipcase ways now, but all of them are recolored. And I know that Dave Stevens picked the person that he wanted to recolor them, but still, for me, it's hard to swallow some of that recoloring. And so this collects actually the full Rocketeer saga in this paperback, which is really cool. So there's a decent possibility that I might pick this up as sort of like my way to first read The Rocketeer, which would be interesting because it would be the first time that I've ever read something as an artist edition before I read it as a piece of content. So like that, that's finished and colored and put out. So I'm curious to see what this ultimately looks like. But yeah, This collects all of the stuff that Stevens did with the Rocketeer in the early 80s, and I am quite jazzed that we are getting a nice new way to get it, because the original artist edition I would have scooped up, but it is pretty expensive and out of print. So if you couldn't get the original artist edition, then this is a cool artisan one. That's 3 separate things: an artisan, a portfolio, and a full-on artist edition that IDW is doing this month. So that's quite a bit. I'm impressed. And right into Image Comics. The book for every reader is their new tagline. It was own this, or we own this, or they own this, or something like that. Image owns. But now it looks like they are moving into the play to get every reader on board. So let's see what we have. I am not going to speak about most of these because there are so many high quality and interesting Image books going on that if you are interested in them, it would behoove you to seek them out a little bit on your own, because I just don't know enough about them to actually give anything of interest. But let's see if there are any deluxe collections, because oftentimes Image doesn't have any. Sunstone, I don't really know much about. I know it is like sort of an erotic, like Euro style book. That might be interesting to some people. I'm not like particularly interested in it, but if you are into like Euro eroticism, then that might be a cool one to check out. Oh, I am excited for this. This is very cool. Velvet Deluxe Hardcover Edition by Brubaker and Epting, the team who worked on Captain America. This is the 1 through 15 of Velvet. I feel as though Velvet might have started at Icon Comics, a creator-owned imprint at Marvel. I'm not sure about that, but I feel like it was not originally published by Image. But either way, Epting and Brubaker are going to get a nice deluxe collection of the full 15-issue run, which is awesome. I like both of them, and I like them together even more than apart. So if you're into either of them and you like that kind of like Brubaker's Captain America run, then this might be a very cool pickup for you. But the rest of it, not particularly interesting to me, so we're just going to take a quick detour into the Marvel Solicit book and see what's there for us. Alright, we have right on the front Inhumans vs. X-Men from Charles Soule and Jeff Lemire, two pretty well-known and respected writers, as well as a Monsters Unleashed series from Colin Bunn and Greg Land. So, interesting. Let's see what we have in here. Once again, lots of different single issues, but I'm sorry, I'm just not a single issue channel. There's just too much out there to keep up with. So let's skip right ahead to the collections and see what we have going on. Alright, so here's what we have. Quite a bit of Spider-Man. Looks like this is a Spidey kind of month. The Spider-Man's Tangled Web Omnibus. I really don't know much about this series at all, but it has a lot of different people connected to it that are quality writers. Garth Ennis, Greg Rucka, Peter Milligan, just to name a few. Darwin Cook, Brian Azzarello, Paul Pope. Holy smokes, that's a lot of people. With pencils by John McCrae, I don't know. Eduardo Rizzo, I do know and like. Darwin Cook, Giuseppe Camicoli, Paul Pope. So it seems like it was an interesting side story. This collects Tangled Webs 1 through 4, as well as Spider-Man's Tangled Web 5 through 22. So it seems like it was a series that kind of like took a lot of talented creators and had them do like their little interesting side things with Spider-Man. So if you are interested in Spider-Man but like to see the character pulled and prodded and poked by different creative teams, then this might be a very cool book for you. $100 price point. For about 1,000 pages seems all right to me. So yeah, I don't know when this series was coming out. I would imagine it was like early 2000s or something like that when the original run was. But if you are a Spidey head, then this is a cool omnibus to have. And this one I am excited about. This is the Spider-Man by Michelini and Eric Larson omnibus, which collects Amazing Spider-Man 287, 324, 327, 329 through 350, as well as Spider-Man 15, 18, 19 through 20, and 21 through 23, as well as Amazing Spider-Man. So basically, this is stuff that Michelini was working on with Todd McFarlane. Currently, there is a Michelini and McFarlane Spider-Man omnibus, as well as a McFarlane solo Spider-Man omnibus. So this looks like it picks up the Amazing Spider-Man stuff after McFarlane left, which continues the story from 329 to 350, as well as continuing after McFarlane left issue 14 of the solo Spider-Man series with a couple more 15, 18, 19 through 20. So very cool. I am into this time period. This is sort of like right before Image Comics, and like this is kind of like the early 90s that I can get behind, if that makes sense. Like it was kind of like the tipping point between late 80s into early 90s, and I still enjoyed it quite a bit. And then after this stuff, when a lot of these guys moved to Image, it got a little wonky, and the kind of like the overdrawn under realism style of the 90s became apparent. But in this early, late 80s, 90s kind of time period when it was crossing, I was still into it. So the Michelini Larson omnibus is cool to have to finish off some of that stuff that Michelini was doing with McFarlane. Very exciting. A Deadpool graphic novel, don't care. Max Ride, don't know anything about it. Miss Marvel Volume 3 hardcover. There was just a Miss Marvel omnibus which collected volumes 1 and 2, sort of like they did with the Hawkeye omnibus. And then this is going to pick that up with Volume 3. Still have not read the series. Still am hearing great things about it, but I just don't know that much about it. And then we get into some Star Wars stuff. This is the Star Wars Volume 2 hardcover, which collects Star Wars 15 through 25 as well as Annual Number 1, which continues on from the first Star Wars book that we had from Jason Aaron with John Cassaday as well as Stuart Immonen, and it looks like this continues that series. Very cool. Deadly Hands of Kung Fu Omnibus Volume 2. This is continuing on the Deadly Hands Omnibus line. The first one collected, 1 through 18. This one's going to collect 19 through 33, as well as Bizarre Adventures 25. I think there are only meant to be 2 omnibus versions of this, or 2 omnibus volumes. So this finishes up the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. I actually do like that cover. Usually I don't really like the normal covers, but I think that's a cool cover. I like that Iron Fist drawing. So yeah, if you're into Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, I got it, and I was a little bit surprised at what it actually was. It's more of like a kind of general catch-all, like Kung Fu interviews, reviews, and stories. I didn't realize it was going to be more than just comics. Eventually, I'm going to talk about the series, but yeah, if you're into the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu magazine, then this finishes that off. And I think that's probably about it. The rest of this is all going to be trade paperbacks and stuff, sort of releases of things that were in hardcover, as well as new trade paperbacks and epic collections. So yeah, Marvel, kind of a cool month. A lot of Spider-Man, and then finishing up some other stuff with Star Wars and Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. Seems neat, but nothing that I think is like ground-breaking, earth-shattering in terms of collection. So the Eric Larson and Michelini Spider-Man I am excited for. The rest of it I think is cool, but not like gonna blow my mind. All right, and let us get back to the main book and check out some of these independent ones. I'm sorry, I'm trying to look at. So we're getting a reprint of the Echo, of the Complete Echo, as well as a reprint of the Rachel Rising Omnibus hardcover, I guess, which is cool. I wish we got a reprint of the Echo book in hardcover, because I would love to read that in hardcover, and it is relatively expensive these days. I'm just going to flip through and stop when I see something interesting. So I gotta say, I'm sure this is mostly on me. I mean, obviously there's a ton of books coming out in any given month, but I'm not finding them particularly interesting ones this time. But as we get to Titan comics, I do see a couple ones that are interesting. The James Bond Goldfinger hardcover comic strip reprints. I have the James Bond Omnibus collection, which is soft cover prints of that, so I probably won't be picking up this one. The Tarzan and the Lost Tribes, Volume 4. This is the Bern Hogarth Tarzan run, which is the fourth line in the fourth volume, rather, in the comic strips that Titan has been putting out. So I'm super excited to pick some more of these up. I only have one of them right now. I have, I don't know which one I have. It's like the City of something or other. But yeah, it's one of these Tarzan ones. And then also Modesty Blaze and the Children of Lucifer. Awesome. I love Modesty Blaze. This is another Eric Badia Romero volume, and I love him. So this collects the Hanging Judge, Children of Lucifer, and Death Symbol. It is the latest volume in the continuing effort of them to collect all of these UK action strips. So, awesome job from Titan. But Titan, where the F is my last volume in the Philip Drouillet Lone Sloan Delirious stuff, man? Like, it's been a while, and there's only 2 volumes of it, and I thought there's going to be a third, and I'm worried now it's going to get canceled. So, I'm not sure what's happening with that, but still, Titan, I sort of forgive you because you're doing some cool reprint stuff, and I like that kind of stuff. But I don't think I'm gonna like anything else in the rest of this catalog either. I don't know enough about I don't know enough about a lot of this stuff to say whether I would recommend it or not. So, yeah, that seems like it's about it for this month. A disappointing end to that book. I didn't see a lot from Fantagraphics. Didn't have anything that was super interesting. Humanoids didn't look that interesting to me. Rebellion or 2001. I was hoping to see some kind of things here and there, but nothing really stuck out to me. So, interesting stuff this month. There's a couple things here and there that I think will be kind of cool. But overall, collection-wise, I don't think it's like the biggest bombshells of all time. So I hope you enjoyed going through with this comic book with me. This comic book preview of comic books with me. And they will be continuing in the months to come as more and more things are previewed, solicited, and then released. There's been some very cool stuff leaked, or not really even leaked, but the DC Spring catalog has come up. Which I will probably either talk about in a future video or do something like that. But there's a lot of cool books on the horizon in the sort of like post March, April, winter kind of winter and post winter 2016-17. When we get into spring 2017, there's a lot of awesome stuff coming up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There's plenty more videos on the channel, as well as lots of podcasts and more upcoming stuff that I am working on, more reviews and stuff. So please feel free to browse around and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up and a comment if you enjoyed this video, and tell me what stuff you are looking forward to in recently announced future releases. How about that? So I hope you have a fantastic evening or morning or whenever you are watching this, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much.